In 2025, the Barnes Concert Band turned 50 years old. This film celebrates 5 decades of playing for friends, playing for family, and playing for the local community. And 5 decades of making music for the sheer joy of it. Widely varied in age, musical background, and walks of life, the band is tightly bound together by one magic ingredient: a love of playing music.
The best thing about the band is the variety of music that we play, the ages, some outdoor gigs, some indoor gigs, lots of things.
Enjoyment, fun, love of music, playing every week, having fun with friends. It's great.
I think actually one of the fantastic things about playing in a band is as soon as you join a band, you've just met 30 or 40 people. Lots of people who still, 25 years on, I would class as good friends.
What I really wanted to do was just have a chance, for the first time, because I'm an adult learner, to play in an ensemble with other people, some of whom have been playing since they were 7 on these instruments. So it was a lovely chance to learn, to build a bit of confidence, and the music that we played is so exciting.
Musically, I wanted to get better because I didn't take up the bassoon until I was 50, which was more or less when my children left home. And my mum had moved here from Cornwall. She bought me my bassoon and she could get to the concerts. I wanted to belong to something that was very much part of the community, that played for the community, and it has fulfilled all of that.
I became involved in the band pretty much 7 years ago. And at the time, I was just in the process of learning a new instrument. And the band was the perfect opportunity for me to just join in somewhere relaxed, friendly, and no pressure. Just to join in and have fun.
I hadn't played for nearly 30 years, so I'm sort of showing my age. I went to university and my poor old oboe just got left in a case for nearly 30 years. So I just wanted somewhere to play and they were just so welcoming. If someone 10 years ago had said to me I was going to play my oboe again, I would have honestly laughed in their face. I had no thought of getting back to playing. And now I just can't imagine my life, without it.
Like a lot of people, I had played clarinet a lot at school, and then you get into jobs and work and career. So my clarinet went away in its case and got stuck in the wardrobe. And then, there's a point where you think, I'd really like to play again. So I applied to join the band and never looked back. Just having that in your life, I think, once a week, and having that over a period of time makes life feel better.
I'd come home from a hard day at work and it was a cold January, dark evening, and there'd be the great temptation, think, I can't believe it. I'm not going to go to band tonight. But I'd always go, and I'd always come away at the end of the evening sort of feeling positive and upbeat and thinking, the world's a much better place than it was a few hours ago.
Once you join the Barnes Concert Band, you tend to stay put.
I joined in the last millennium, literally. I was working out, it was, I think, 1999. So I think I'm the second longest standing member of the band.
I was about 17 when I joined. My old trumpet teacher was the conductor here. I think the band was a little bit short on trumpet players at the time, so a few of us got dragged along.
It was nice to have a few youngsters coming through from the school, so it was great.
I joined, I think it's 18 years ago. What would that be, 18 years ago?
2007.
About 2007, yeah.
Part-timer.
A friend of mine, another percussionist, we just thought we'd like to do a bit more of general music because we were both working in nightclubs back in Cabaret. So we trolled along to the Barnes Concert Band and that was that really. We did a few and then we probably went on tour or something. Something happened or we got the sack, I can't remember.
The band is self-supporting. Members pay subs to be part of it. They rehearse during term time in the sports hall of a local school.
I think it's one of the most welcoming bands I've played in. Yeah. You know, we have like tea break. We practically have high tea in the interval with kind of homemade cakes and stuff.
We have tea, we go to the pub, we have curry nights. A lot of people have known each other for a very long time, so what we're trying to do even more of is make sure we welcome people when they join. It's a bit daunting, so we have a lot of effort to try and get to know everybody.
I was always told that brass players were the first ones down the pub.
Down the pub, well, it's true.
Still the case, I think.
But we're not far behind them.
Woodward, let's say piano, please. 3, 4. We're not professional musicians. We don't all practice every day. As Darryl will no doubt tell you.
Here we begin. 3, out.
I think we are pretty supportive. People aren't going to be sighing and tutting, and the conductor's not going to be saying, "Come on, you've got to practice that bit harder." So it is a very supportive environment, I think, and that helps the band as a whole to progress.
So that supportive nature of people just being friendly and encouraging, and someone does a solo and there's a little clap afterwards, you wouldn't necessarily get in a professional orchestra. That's really nice, and I think it's really important for people.
The Barnes Concert Band has a surprising beginning. A long association with the Royal Military School of Music at Kneller Hall, 5 miles from Barnes. Musical director Darryl Loudon is a former student at the Royal Military School.
There's a story that in 1857 there was a big parade, part of the culmination or the end of the Crimean War, and there were a whole load of bands on parade and they were asked to play the national anthem. And the problem was they were all playing in different keys, different arrangements, and it was just a noise. And so the Duke of Cambridge was ordered to form a military school of music so that basically every band could play the national anthem at the very least together. And that's how Kneller Hall was formed. Our close proximity to Kneller Hall meant that we always had a stream of student bandmasters. Whilst they're there, they had to learn to conduct lots of pieces, and often they'd want somewhere else to practice. With the Barnes Concert Band, it's fair to say we've had a strong link pretty much since we've been founded.
Another former student is Major Evan Frost, now Director of Music of the Band of the Royal Scots Guards.
I think historically, a lot of it's related to what army bands and sort of bands from the armed forces were doing going back 100 years ago. And that was bringing music that wasn't really otherwise accessible to everyone, because people didn't all have record players, etc. It was making it readily accessible. So I think it's quite important that bands like Barnes Concert Band continue that almost heritage of doing that.
A concert or wind band is an orchestra minus the strings. It's a brass band plus.
So I've played with brass bands before, but you tend to do much more sort of marches and things like that, which we can do as well here, arrangements for that. But we also do all sorts of things, symphonic stuff, musicals.
One, and.
We play wind band, classics, the jazz, the musicals. We play a whole variety. Yeah, the dance pieces. It's great.
Unlike brass bands, who, much as I admire them, they have a very homogenous sound. They're all playing a brass instrument, literally. You know, in a concert band, we've got flutes and oboes and clarinets, bassoons. We've got a whole saxophone section. By default, saxophones, trumpets, trombones. Well, that's the basis of a big band.
Such a huge range. I mean, going right from the original sort of wind band, Sousa marching music, right through to medleys of Fiddler on the Roof and original compositions. There's something for everybody to enjoy, and even if you don't like one piece, well, the next one along, you probably will.
One of the absolute joys I have in my role is trying to find balanced programs to give the band something interesting and challenging to play. We all love a cheesy pop tune as well, but we've just got to find a good arrangement of it and getting balance so people can realise that whilst I may not be a professional musician, I can enjoy playing lots of genres and most importantly to the best of my ability and hopefully better than I thought I could.
I think Daryl's really good at picking programmes that have something that provides stretch for the band, something that provides familiarity for the audience, and things that the audience don't necessarily know, but they have accessible tunes that you feel you know.
I love doing band music where people get up and dance sometimes. I love playing out in the sunshine where the children are prancing around, and it's very lively music and keeps you on your toes. Has its variety, because it's the spice of life.
We have lots of children who are kind of running around and watching us and listening to us. For some of them, they've probably never seen a musical instrument or heard a musical instrument being played.
They love it. They're not inhibited, they're not having to sit there as in a concert hall, it's bliss.
We tend to have two types of event that we're playing at. So we play a lot of bandstand type gigs in the summer, and the repertoire there is generally fairly light. It's things from the musicals, popular tunes and so on. But when we play something like the Barnes Music Festival, we'll have some serious modern classical stuff.
They have kind of like super famous kind of professional people. We've still got our little slot.
Yeah,
sometimes
absolutely.
I think, and you can see one of the Canoe Masons the day before who's going to come to see Barnes Concert Band on the Sunday, but we still manage to kind of fill it out, and so they're still turning up. So we'll keep playing.
For the Barnes Music Festival, we tend to have at least one piece which is really challenging. And it's a kind of piece when you first read through it, you think, we're never going to be able to play this. You know, this is just too hard, you know, either your own part or just for the band as a whole. And somehow over the weeks as we go through and we get to the day of the concert and we can play it, you think, you know, that's a real feeling of achievement.
I think that the concert band has definitely grown during the festival, during the 12 years it's been playing at the festival. It's grown not just in numbers, but grown in terms of quality, grown in terms of enthusiasm, grown in terms of the repertoire that it plays, and as we demonstrated this afternoon, grows in the complexity of the repertoire that's played.
One thing I like about the band is that it's sort of pitched at just a level that's just slightly hard enough so that it gives me a challenge, really, and it's not really the basic school band stuff that, you know, I played when I was at school. So.
If you are not a horn, you need to play piano at F. Whatever dynamic you have, you need to be playing piano. That is the line I want to hear. Okay, let's go from D, please. This is a really nice full sound, I like it, but we need to work a little bit harder on our diminuendo, the bar for E, so the E is back to piano again. So we're good at going up, but we're not quite so good at getting the volume back our way. So here's D, please. D for Delta 3, and...
I really love it when we get music that's difficult to play and that, you know, you have to sort of go away and work at it. That has really pushed me out of my comfort zone and has given me moments that genuinely frighten me. But in a good way. I remember there was a percussion part that I was really anxious about, that I spent a lot of time practicing and still feel like, you know, I wasn't quite getting it in rehearsal. And I sort of vaguely remember thinking I just about got it in the concert, and Daryl saying, yeah, I think we just about got away with it. And that sort of stands out as a very happy memory.
Yeah, Daryl picks some good music, doesn't he?
He does.
Lots of challenging bits in it.
Yeah, he likes to work us hard.
Yeah.
I think
nothing that's unachievable.
Exactly.
We always get there in the end.
Out of that fourth bar into the next bar, you go mezzo forte to forte, yes? For, what is it, a bar and a half? Then we're going to get away to mezzo forte, then we go again. We will need to work really hard on that. It's going to feel like you're getting down to piano before you go again. Because if we only go forte to mezzo forte, that's not very much, is it? So I'd like it to be a little bit more dramatic than that. So here's F, please. F, lead into F.
Music's always tough, really. It can, you know, never be taken for granted. But
that's what Clive says, is nothing's easy. Music isn't easy. Even an easy piece, there's a right way of doing it.
And in the band, you have to listen to other people and know when you come in. And I don't think I've got a jazz bone in my body, but anyway, gradually you do. So, yeah, it's great.
You're getting there, Barbara.
Hit D, halfway to D, 1, 2, 1. because we're rehearsing for gigs in effect termly, we get the opportunity to move people around the sections, and it gives people an opportunity to play things they never thought they could, individually and then collectively as a band. People have said, oh, I fancy doing a solo, but I'm not sure I'm good enough. Well, maybe we give you a solo line within a piece so you get used to that. But we've also given other people an opportunity to stand out the front and play solos. One of our clarinet players had always fancied playing the Archie Shaw Clarinet Concerto, which is no mean undertaking at all. And she said, do you think we could do it? Would you mind? Of course I wouldn't mind.
So it was really a combination of my loving the piece and everyone just saying, come on, you've got to give it a go. Just, you're never going to get an experience like this somewhere else. So have a go. So I did. It was something I really wanted to do, so I wasn't really nervous. I was just excited to give it a go because I just knew that the whole band were with me and, had my back.
Her parents came as well, and so just seeing the joy on her face and her parents for her having done something which she thought she'd never get to do in her life.
A couple of my friends in the band knew that I love it, and that I've been sort of playing it since I was 18. And they encouraged me to have a go, and I was really resistive. And Daryl was also encouraging me, and so finally I said yes.
In recent years, to increase community outreach, individual sections or mini-me versions of the full band have been taken out onto the streets, the parks, and the traffic islands.
We found that for some of those gigs that we were being offered as a band, actually it worked better to put together a much smaller group, which we call mini band.
I think there's quite a useful, very helpful way that the ensemble can break down into sort of smaller constituent parts with fairly flexible music and can still deliver quite a powerful effect even with 4 or 5 instrumentalists. And that's really nice, and I think it's really important to then be engaging with the community in lots of different ways rather than just necessarily being on a bandstand.
It's a really important part of what this band does because we do big showcase appearances and we work very hard for those. But it's as important. We do smaller groups. If we go to somebody's charity garden party, we might take a saxophone group or a flute group, or we can put the band together in a smaller ensemble, which means that we can turn up, do something that still sounds very good, but maybe with a third of the band playing.
Only one thing could persuade a band to put on an open-air concert in freezing December and expect people to come and listen to it: Christmas carols.
We always play the Salvation Army Red Carol books. They're really nice arrangements, and hopefully everyone passing by knows the songs and they can join in.
People are very close. You really sort of feel that community, and that event is quite a community event, so there's lots of people milling around.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favourite evenings. It just feels really villagey and homely. Barnes does Christmas fabulously. We even have reindeer.
One advantage of mini bands is that they can reach parts of the community a bigger outfit couldn't reach. The band regularly provide music for a Barnes charity that serves elderly people in the local area, FISH.
Friendship, independence, support, help, FISH. Music is one thing that actually is a common language. If you have dementia, it speaks to people.
We've seen tears because it's related to a particular memory in their life. So I think from a point of view, watching their feet tap, their hands going, singing along with them.
Absolutely.
The music sort of enables people to connect with each other and engage, and it sparks memories for them as well. So, I mean, that's, once it gets going, it's amazing when you look around the room and just see people smiling, talking to each other.
To see old people get up and dance who have been just sitting in their wheelchairs, not moving at all, but suddenly they find the impetus to get up, to even if it's just swaying or just holding a maraca, just becoming involved in the music it's really special.
Stars spreading the news, I'm leaving today.
They come there with different interests and different needs, and some are very interested in music but perhaps don't communicate so well anymore, but they join in with the singing, and there's one of them conducts us as well, and it's really nice to see a stimulation of a group by music activity.
I want to be a part of it, New York, New York.
When you've got, some sort of age-limiting, probably long-term illness, or it's much more difficult to leave your house and go to those things that you want to go to. So for FISH to enable that to happen locally, people really value that.
Yeah.
It's community cohesion.
We're very proud of what we've achieved as a band, and we are a community band, which is a band in the community in Barnes, South West London, Twickenham. But we're also a community in of ourselves. In our busy lives, our 2 hours on the Tuesday night is just protected time for us to do something that we want to do. Whatever's gone on at home, at work, you've got 2 hours a week just to indulge yourself in your own pleasure, which is music.
The Barnes Concert Band, half a century of making music. Here's to the next 50 years.
Thank you.